Welcome to the Rewarded Consumer Podcast. My name is Michael, and I have a general passion to get more rewards out of my everyday financial activities. I wanted to share this passion with you to help give information on tools that can help get more out of these mundane everyday activities. I am joined today by a group of my friends who also have a similar interest.
Hey, I'm Pete. I'm here to learn and possibly even share useful experiences from my financial decisions as well.
Hi, I'm Stas. I have an interest in technology and finance, so let's explore this world together.
Hi, my name is Jan. I have a technical background, but would like to explore the thoughts that my friends have around financial aspects such as credit cards and other reward programs.
Welcome to the Rewarded Consumer Podcast. I'm joined here today with the Rewarded Consumer team. Today's episode is about the year 2021, or what we're calling the blackjack of years. Hopefully we'll hit blackjack and our predictions will be spot on. So these two episodes we're going to be having are going to be about predictions of trends I think we're going to happen, restaurants and credit cards and all those other different topics that we have. And at the end of the year, I would like to go back and analyze what we predicted and see how true that became. Guys, let's start the podcast. So I want to introduce the start of the topic today of trends in regards to restaurants and grocery stores and like department stores in general, like what I think the trends are going to be for the next year based on some of the things I've seen come in the last year, or at least become more popular in the last year. My first thing I think is going to be very popular is this idea behind delivery / drive up or pickup of groceries. One model that I thought's been really awesome that I've definitely been able to discover, especially in the last 7 weeks, because I am now a father. I know we've talked about it before. I have a little baby boy that is the joy of my life, and going to the store is not the most pleasant thing anymore because I have to protect him with COVID. And Target has a great drive-up program where I can order everything online. I know it's there. You know, once it's ordered, I have a 2-hour window and they tell me when it's ready. I click, I'm on my way over, and then when I get there, I say I'm here. There's a special designated area where I pull into. They know which car is mine, and then they just check a phone number. They don't have to open the window or anything. Just check this little 3-digit number that I show them on my phone, and then they pop it and put it in my trunk, and then I'm on my merry way, maybe a 20-minute round trip, and I don't have to go inside, and everything is done safely. And it also helps with the keeping stuff clean and safe because I'm doing everything digitally ahead of time, and they just literally bring it out and drop it in my car. You think it's going to be a trend in the next year?
I think it depends on what you want to buy. I see it working really well for staples. Like if you just want, a gallon of milk, some eggs, food for the next week or two, sure, that's easy to do. But if you want something specialty, or say you want to buy a new bathroom towel, that's something you want to go in the store, pick it out yourself. Do you really want some random person picking it up for you when they might not have the same aesthetic eye as you? Or if you're buying like a steak, they might not get the perfect steak from the shelf, whereas you might want to look at which one you want to pick out. But for staples or things that are basically the same, if I want a carton of eggs, they're all the same. So it doesn't matter. Sure, have someone else pick them up for me and bring them out.
So Michael, what was your experience with that process? Did they select quality products for you when you used that service?
Yeah, I didn't get too many like produce related items, but for the most part, everything's great. I think bananas are the only little hot button issue because, bananas can be a little bit thing, but you know what? It's a 20-cent product. It's not like I'm getting like a steak. And I agree with Stas's sentiment. There's certain things like steak or certain things you're going to need to pick out in a certain way. But let's say it's a pre-sliced cheese. What's the difference between one package versus the other package, But yesterday I went to Whole Foods and I did go in there. I had my wife and kid in the car, while the car was on. They at least have an outdoor parking lot up there. And I went in there and personally selected certain things. But other things I could have gotten really easy, like I got the sliced cheese, but I also got the stuff that's like got a 12-month, was that Manchego. But I also, maybe I don't want to spend, for the full pound. Maybe I only want a little bit, or I have like a mental rationale. What's more rewarding? Like how much of that do I really need? Because maybe I need just enough, so it's enough for a meal, or maybe for a couple meals, versus buying a big thing, so it's a good rate value, but then I don't use it all. Also, Sundays we like to make a brunch spread. That's kind of why I went there. Got smoked salmon. I got some fresh bread, the French rolls. I did get some of the regular bread, which I think one thing that's been great, and something I think that because Amazon had taken over Whole Foods, they've been more reasonable, and it's not as, for lack of a better term, hoity-toity as it used to be. it does have some expensive items, and there's certain things that are a little more expensive that I don't typically buy there. But I can go over there and get a lot of the basics for a lot more reasonable pricing. And except for yesterday, I usually go out like after 7 o'clock, and it's usually pretty empty compared to like one of the other stores, which I like. Yesterday was pretty busy because it was Saturday, and we have snowstorms. We have like over a foot of snow out here. It's stuff like that. I think, it just depends on what the product is.
I think there's another aspect to it. It depends on what kind of not necessarily shopper, but more of a cook. So if you're the type of person that pre-plans your meals weeks ahead or has a basic idea of what you need, sure, that's easy to schedule a pickup on a Sunday and you have everything you need for the whole week. But if you're the type that likes to be more spontaneous and is like, okay, well, it's 5 o'clock after work, I feel like having this today. You're not going to go online, order something, and then wait for them 2 hours to pick it up for you. You just want to go to the store, pick it out, be back in less than an hour, and start cooking.
Yeah, guys, there is something to be said about still going there, physically putting your eyes on it, and even from an advertising perspective for the businesses involved with that. I mean, I think there's just something unique about that experience that you really just do not get from, as Stas said, trying to pick it out online and being spontaneous online. And I was actually thinking while you guys were talking about that, like the algorithms for, Mike, remember you were just talking about the substitution products. There was a meme online about some husband who was trying to get his wife flowers or something like that, and he picked out like a dozen roses, and they're like, oh, we don't have this item, so they like substituted like a can of tomatoes or something. So I think that's not always a science to those substitute items. Mike, you're right. If it's one brand of provolone versus another brand, that's usually going to be okay for different cheeses. But if you really want a specific item that you're going to have to grasp and look at, I mean.
So what I'm hearing is, since Valentine's Day is coming up, the trend this year will be a dozen cans of Campbell's tomato soup.
I like it.
Yeah, definitely. That's a great idea. I think there's a lot to be said about this whole process. I mean, Amazon had already kind of had that stuff in place, and not just Whole Foods, but this last year I really invested in the key delivery, and I could see that becoming more popular because Amazon's becoming more popular, but people are also worried about porch pirates. For anyone who doesn't know what a porch pirate is this someone that steals packages off porches? I actually watched a YouTube video the other day of this guy he purposely made it so porch pirates would want to steal his stuff. He put glitter in there he sprayed fart spray and like skunk spray.
Mark Rober, yeah, I know.
That was great.
Yeah, that guy's hilarious.
And I'm like, that's great. But I mean, hopefully it deters people. I mean, I have had problems here, like even at my front door. Right now where I'm recording from is my office as well for work because I work from home. And I've had people just having conversations sitting on I have a porch right here, and they're just sitting there and they're doing some kind of like deal or something like that. I'm like, what the freak are you doing here? I just don't get it. And I mean, there's a camera sitting out there. We're in the age of cameras, which I don't believe really in having them active in my house unless it's for my son and it's a non-web-based camera for him, so I can just keep an eye on him at night, make sure he's okay, and if he's waking up, we're going to take care of him. But I only want stuff that's outside the house, so I don't have a problem with one in my garage and one on my front door, which has actually caught a person, just giving me terrible customer service from Amazon Flex drivers. We don't need to go into the story, but the point is it's there for protection. But yeah, that's why I'm okay with the key delivery, because I prefer that because I know it's going to get in my garage. It's not going to sit out on the porch where one of those quote unquote porch pirates could possibly steal the stuff, because I live on a main street here in the Chicagoland. And also I know it's getting there, and I know who's doing it, and I see that they're wearing their mask and doing what they need to do because there's the camera that records everything that comes in. And then I know where they put it.
So Mike, would you say that the security of that gives you a true sense of security, or do you think it's like peace of mind? What is it? What's the benefit?
It's peace of mind. Also, I just live in I don't live in a typical house setup. I live in a townhouse that has a bunch of connected townhouses, and it's kind of weird the way it's set up. So the garage section is like in a court, and it's a little harder for people to know which garage it is. And I've had numerous packages before I had the key delivery that would just show up in random spots, like at other people's garage doors. But if it's key, they know which garage door is because they have a quick access code. They open my door real quick, put it down. They know there's a camera in there. I think they must have told them, and then they get out of there. And I can keep an eye on it, and then I know when it's coming. Like I know when the delivery got there, and I don't have to wonder because nobody rings doorbells these days. It's kind of annoying. I'll have stuff sit on my porch for hours and not realize it's there because nobody rings the doorbell. And I sit right next to the doorbell, but I didn't hear them.
Do you get notifications when they put stuff in your garage if you're outside of your house?
Yeah, I know. I get notifications, and they tell me the day before, like, we're having a delivery tomorrow. I think I bought some bean thread rice noodles or something like that. I already know they're coming into my garage. They're just gonna, they'll open the garage door, but I get a day before, I get a notice saying, hey, we're requesting access. There's gonna be access to your garage, and then they tell you when they're like 2 stops away, and so you could kind of predict. And plus, if you're in the house already, they already come and all that stuff. And it's better than that. You know what? Honestly, it'd be kind of cool to see delivery companies using this technology, because then they could drop it in your garage, and it's not just sitting on your porch, and you have that no contact delivery, and it came there. The other end result is now I have an automatic garage door that I know is closed anytime I'm away. So I guess it's an added benefit. Don't have to necessarily have keys or whatever. I can open myself the garage or give people one-time access codes or whatever. So, and it was a very inexpensive addition. I think I paid maybe $80 total to put this thing in. I mean, yes, I'm paying Amazon to make it more convenient for them to deliver to me, but now I have peace of mind because I can turn the camera on and the garage door is closed. If I feel like my garage door is not closed, I can close it remotely.
So it's interesting. Like, we started this conversation about grocery pickup or delivery, and we kind of went to this with security of delivery. But then also, Pete, you mentioned another aspect that we haven't really explored. So on the curbside pickup, what do the stores think about it? Because, for example, grocery stores, do they like us doing the curbside delivery, or would they prefer us going into the store where they could, like you were saying, advertise to us and hopefully convince us to buy more than what we plan?
I think what the stores want, they'd probably want everybody to be on some sort of schedule. That's why Amazon gives you 5% or 15% subscription savings if you do that for certain items. So they'd probably want a mixture of that schedule. And then for certain items, like I mentioned, flowers or certain goods that you just think are worth it to pick out yourself, they'd probably want you to enter some sort of environment. And I think that will change as well, depending on what this, new year holds, or future years for that matter. I would think that maybe stores are going to maybe take a cue from maybe the outdoor mall design. I know that kind of was something that we started seeing popping up more, and then it has kind of gone down quite a bit since malls have kind of gone down in popularity and all that. But I think that there might be a variation of, especially in colder areas, maybe some sort of covered outdoor environment. So it's just a little bit peace of mind. You're not in a air circulated area where people are kind of more concerned about, reprocessed air coming in. And
so, what you just described kind of reminds me of something we already have, but I don't think as many people are aware of or use as much: farmers markets.
Exactly. Yeah. I think farmers markets are a potential direction. I'm not sure if that's a prediction per se, but I think there is more peace of mind to that because you're outdoors. It's a little easier. There's more room to potentially distance and, make it a little bit more feasible for that. So that's just an idea of what I think they might start doing more.
Especially with the vaccines coming out, as we get more production, as more people are vaccinated. I don't know whether it'll be this year, next year, or 2 years from now. I think at some point we'll be going back to quote unquote normal, and this won't be as much of a worry. So we can safely go into stores, even probably without masks at some point, not worry about all this. But I do like the whole concept of what we were talking about with farmers market. I remember going to some in the past, haven't been to some in a while, but I love that concept.
Yeah, it's especially feasible too, obviously, during warmer months. I know you guys are all up a little bit further north, Midwest. We're still getting the rain down here in the South, but you guys are getting the snow and all that. It's just not as feasible right there because just the accumulation of snow and all that, maybe ice.
Well, I was going to say there is a trend, and it's funny that you mentioned the whole farmers market. It's the food hall, which was already becoming a trend in the last 5 to 10 years. But if you can make skylights and stuff like that, or have like ways to control the weather, like where you could have it open, but then a canopy of some sort to protect it from rain or snow or whatever, it's going to be better. One great thing is we're going to protect ourselves. We might not get sick as much. I mean, I know we're kind of putting ourselves in a little bit of a bubble, but I see some trends like, just being a lot more careful with where we're touching surfaces and stuff like that. Like, I mean, even the office environment is going to change, I think. That's for another topic later on. But the point is that this open, you're right, that open concept is great because people want selection choices. But one thing I want to go back to, and I think why stores might actually start maybe gravitating towards that drive-up model, targeted marketing. Because in order for you to pick that item out, you have to go on their website. And usually you have to create an account. Well, if you get people to go on their account, you could suggest stuff based on what they've purchased before and kind of say, hey, maybe you want this again, maybe you want that. It's almost like you get like a personalized billboard, which is cheaper than even setting up a store display. And because you have less people coming in the store and you have only your employees not having to interact with the guests as much, you're putting yourself at less risk, I think, as a business. And you know where the stuff is, and it doesn't get as disorganized because you don't have people messing with stuff and you don't have to reface everything because it's your employees that are dealing with the stuff.
I was just thinking in terms of how to take advantage of this as a consumer. How do we get rewarded? And I know I have at least one credit card which gives me points on internet purchases. So it doesn't matter what company it is, as long as it's an online purchase, I get extra points than the typical 1% of anywhere. I don't know if that qualifies as that. Like if I go to Target or Kroger and order something for curbside pickup, would that count towards the online purchase even though I'm actually going to the physical store because I'm making the purchase online in advance?
Are we talking about
Yes.
Bank of America? Okay. Yeah. Great card right now. I would think so, but I'm not 100%. Just depends on how they code it.
That actually makes me think as well. This is a prediction. This could be within the next 5 or 10 years. I think that we at some point are going to see the phasing out of the idea of the difference between the online and the in-store purchasing, because it's just going to get so much more integrated. So the structures involved of actually, knowing what's in the stores is going to just increase tenfold. So maybe we really will see that idea of this online and in-person deal being any different. Just to go back to the topic of going into the store and all that, Mike, I think the only thing that they're missing out on with the targeted advertising is there is a whole science to grocery store design, where they place the items and where the consumer is going to see and it's going to catch their eye. So yes, you're right. Targeted marketing is very much there and it's probably here to stay. But I think that still having you in some sort of physical space or arena of sorts is going to still be an advantage for them. So I don't know if they're going to fully phase it out, but we might actually, guys, we might just see the doing away of the online and in-person coupon model or differencing in pricing or anything like that.
What I was going to say with that, you're right. I mean, honestly, I think what's going to happen, we're going to have a mass exodus from our houses and people are going to want to go to the stores again when it's safe again. But maybe the convenience factor, like the stuff that are very minute, but there's certain things you wanted to get separately. You could still scan your items. Like, honestly, the biggest idea that this already exists, kind of, the Amazon Go store is probably the future model of shopping. We have one in my building at work, and it's basically like going into a cold vending machine. Our stores are going to probably be more like that. And Amazon already has a Amazon Fresh or something store in California where they're test marketing, and they're taking over older stores that went out of business. And you could scan your groceries ahead of time and just walk out, and it pre-weighs your stuff. It knows what the product is. It pre-weighs it and all that stuff. I see that as the future.
They have the
like
test
that.
one, I think, in Seattle, because I was at that one, and it's pretty cool.
Not the Amazon Go. There's a difference. There's actually an Amazon Fresh store. It's a different model. It's more of a grocery store. It's kind of like a hybrid between the Go store and the Whole Foods. Okay. And it's like, because it's like a regular grocery store. Think of it like your Kroger's of the world. But you can choose to either do a normal shopping trip, and it's just like going to like a regular grocery store, or you can use the cart in a smart way where it scans the product as you put it in, or weighs it because it knows it's in there, or you can do a couple of different things. Like, it does it for you, and then you can pretty much just walk out as long as you have a tight Amazon account. It's kind of the hybrid model between the Go store and a regular grocery store. So you kind of get that hybrid model, which is I think what's going to happen. Yes, it's not great because I love the fact that we're getting data collection, but at the same time, that could also, some people could have some issues with that. So I don't think you're ever going to totally get away from that. But I think a lot of people are going to want that trend, because if you could spend less time wasting on like checking out and stuff like that, and having a little more like, okay, this is in my cart already, great, and I can just connect it to my Amazon account and I get 5% automatic because I have an Amazon credit card, or Target I get 5% back on this automatically. It's great because a lot of them are wanting you to use the app. I mean, even with Target before the pandemic, when I would go in there, I would scan my items because I would get extra percentages back for seeing what the prices are. And a lot of times I would find a discrepancy in pricing, and that's something I think that there's a problem with. You can be in the store and it's actually more expensive than what is online, the same price, and it's their same online website present. We're not talking about comparing prices between stores. Best Buy is notorious for this, actually.
I've had that happen to me before, and I hate it when they do that. I totally understand.
Right, and I understand that there's going to be sometimes a little bit of discrepancy based on the area, but like Jimmy John's is a great example of that. I go to a Jimmy John's in the west side of town, it's $2 to $3 cheaper than the Jimmy John's over here, where it's over $8 a sandwich. I'm like, what the hell? It depends on the side of town you are, and it's the same. You're in the same metropolitan area, but because of where you are and the demographic, they charge different prices.
So what do you think, how it's going to impact the economy if we go into that model of people going through like a drive-through to pick up their items? Do you think that big stores like Target, Walmart, whatever it may be, they will be moving into more of a warehouse approach where they store all of these products and then have like smaller stores where people can walk in and get items and then use it primarily as a drive-through approach to pick up their items. So how do you think like it will impact the economy from a work standpoint? Like, do you see them getting rid of people that are working in those stores?
Partially, but not all the way. But in ways, those, Jan, I think some of them will be taken away, but they'll be increased in other ways. So those stockers and the people who are getting the actual item, it's going to be, maybe increased tenfold because they're going to need that back end. Even with drones and other smaller to larger robotics, I think they're going to need just extra manpower just doing the smaller stuff. So yes and no.
I think it'll
That's my
balance out,
prediction.
like you were kind of alluding towards, where sure you might have less cashiers because we have the automated checkout stuff, but you also have more people picking out items for the curbside pickup. So I think it'll still maybe have
Exactly.
about the same amount of people. They'll just be reassigned. So you're a cashier yesterday, today you're going to be assigned to do this job now.
What I think this is going to happen, it's kind of what Amazon's doing right now. I know I keep going back to them, but they were actually kind of innovating a lot of this stuff. I mean, they turn a lot of things into warehouses. I think you're going to have sections of the store that are going to be more store-like. Your grocery store section is still going to be the grocery store section. This might be more that hybrid model with some of the stuff being more automated, but you're also going to treat the rest of the store like a warehouse, and all that stuff's right there, and then you just pick up the stuff as you come through. It's kind of like IKEA. IKEA is basically the same idea. It's been like that for years, but we didn't think about it. And actually, IKEA is one of the most inconvenient when it comes to like delivery, because you have to pay for delivery, and like a lot of stuff's like inconvenient. I want to see it all at. IKEA is more of a showroom, and then when you pick it up at the end, it's more like a drive-through because you come up, pick up your stuff, and then take it home. I think you're gonna find, especially stores like IKEA, you're gonna find more of a hybrid between Wayfair and IKEA because they're basically the same thing, but people are really touchy about their delivery sub. And that's one thing, honestly, it's weird, but sometimes I get more upset if I have to pay for delivery, but I have to look into the bigger picture. I think that's a lot of people don't realize. You should see, do I have to spend a certain amount to get that delivery? Is it worth paying that thing, or do I need extra stuff so I can get that free delivery? So that's one place to get you. Like one store that really ticks me off is Kohl's. I get free money from them, to go, after I spent a bunch, but because I didn't have at least $75, I had to pay like $8.99 for shipping for a product that should have been pretty much close to free, because they get you on that, and that frustrates me. I mean, I understand you make money as a business, but I'm still ordering from you instead of somebody else, So that's the way I look at it. Just sometimes it's a little aggravating when they make those minimums. Like, I mean, 35 is reasonable. I just think 75 is a little crazy, but I mean, it just depends on the store. I think that opens those newer business models with, why these ship and Instacarts are going to be, become more popular overall. But I personally prefer the in-store stuff instead of a third party, because there's more control over the inventory versus like ship and Instacart.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Rewarded Consumer Podcast. If you like what you're hearing, please follow us on our Instagram or Facebook pages under the name Rewarded Consumer Podcast, or send us a direct email at rewardedconsumer@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you and find out about what topics our listeners would like to hear more about in the future.